Okay, here we go for episode 3, which is going to be about stereo field. But before I go on to that, I've actually made a correction from my last video. In that, we had the bass up really quite high. I forget what the exact setting was, +5, I think, on the gain plugin. And when I took the cycle tool off and I went back and I listened to the verse, the bass was way, way, way too much. So this is a good example of where we're going to use volume automation later when we come to do the final balance. It might be that we want less bass in the verses and more bass in the choruses, something like that. But generally, I've taken the level down. So I've set the bass back to +2. I'm pretty sure it was on +5 before. But that is definitely evidence worthy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, put the bass track on screen, and then take a screenshot. Again, hate the way the plugins stay up. New slide. Blank. There's the screenshot. Make it fit. Duplicate this one. After I completed the overall leveling, I listened to the whole track again and decided that actually I had amplified the bass too much for the verses. As a result, I turned the plug-in back to +2 dB. Right, so that's what you've done. Explaining and analyzing and going a step further, later I will use volume automation to adjust the volume between sections. But at this stage, the levels are acceptable to start mixing, or to continue mixing. Okay, so stereo field. All right, now this is quite straightforward on this track, and this is one of the things that you have most experience of, particularly if you did Unit 7 when you were studying music in Year 11. And I draw your attention to this display. Okay, this display can be found in the control room and is also on the wall of the classroom above the workstations. So very straightforward. Don't forget that we talk about panning in terms of clock positions. So that is what we're going to do. So let's have a look at our different tracks. So the main vocal should, according to our display, is it even on here? Yes, it is. Vocals should generally be kept dead center, although there are many stereo techniques which should not be overlooked. Now, we've got a double track, right? So I think it would make sense to have a go at adjusting the stereo field position of the double track. So I'm going to do that. And like I said, if it doesn't work out, we just take it out. But it would be, a good place to start. So I'm going to right click on the double track header. I'm going to go to new track with duplicate settings, and it's going to duplicate that track. Not everything on the track, but duplicate what's on there. So I'm going to call this double track right, and I'll call this double track left. Okay, so we need to copy everything that was on that first track. So select both of them, copy, make sure you're in the new track, put that there, put it in. Now they're not synced. So make sure that you, hello, what's going on? Need to be zoomed in further. Make sure that you are nice and in sync. It should snap for you if you are zoomed in properly. Good. So let's listen to that. Why have I armed that track? Put the solo tool on. Okay, one of the great uses of the solo tool.
I listen, I sighed was sinking.
Okay, now let's have a little listen with the main vocal as well.
I listened, our side was sinking.
Okay, now I really like the chorus effect which has been created. You know, we've got very slightly different versions. Really adds something extra. But if we just, let's go a little wider. Let's go 20 and minus 20 on the pan controls and see what that does.
I listened, our side was sinking.
Not a great deal. Let's put the cycle tool on. And let's actually do some live manipulation.
I listened, our side was sinking. I listened, our side was sinking. I listened, our side was sinking.
Let's chuck it really wide for a second just to see what it sounds like.
Our side was sinking. I listened, our side was sinking.
Ah, no, actually, I prefer that.
I listened, our side was sinking.
Doesn't sound too wide. It's not distracting.
I listened, our side was sinking.
But I like that. Okay, going to keep that. That really gives them a bit of space. I like that a lot. Now, again, you might decide that you want to do something completely different. You might want to decide that you don't want to double track. You don't want to move the double track. You might want to decide that you keep everything dead center. You might decide that you prefer the main vocal off to the side and the double track in the middle. There's something that's worth trying out. But it's all about what you experiment with, what your ears tell you, and how you go. For me, listening on this pair of headphones right now, throwing the double track vocal out there is what works. When I listen to it on monitors, it could be that we need to rethink it. But for the moment, that's what I'm going with. Trust your instinct. So if we look at our panning display next, the next thing on our list, which is actually affected, well, we've got the drums next. So we're going to leave the kick dead center, snare dead center, toms out wide, and overheads out wide. So let's do that. So let's start with the overhead. So overhead right, overhead left. It suggests on the panning display. What's going on? Lost my controls. There we go. I was zoomed in too far. Now I'm zoomed in vertically too far. Nope. There we go. They disappear if you zoom into a certain point. So 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock are the suggestions. So let's do that. So 3 o'clock is around 38. And minus 38. So I'm going to put all the drum tracks on solo. Here we go. Always good to have a comparison, so let's take it off for a moment. Oh yeah, I can feel them moving. Gosh, now that's a tiny change. It's altering 2 dials. But boy, does that have a difference. Makes it feel much, much, much more natural. Now, floor tom isn't used very much, if at all. Let's have a look at the floor tom track. Most of this is bleed. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we do have a little floor tom at the end there. But let's concentrate on the other 2 toms for the time being. And what's suggested on the display? Yeah, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock again. Now, we've already got 2 things at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. But that doesn't matter. So let's go tom. Let's use 38 again. Now, admittedly, they're not used much. There aren't too many fills going on. Oh, I can tell you straight away I don't like that. Okay, because oh yeah, there's quite a lot of bleed coming through, and that's made some things way too wide. So I'm going to take that out. There we go. Let's go much less severe. Yeah, that works. Yeah, good. Okay, now you might decide that you want to throw, you might want to duplicate your toms left, right, and centre. You might want to have some of the toms out left and some of them out further right, or whatever it may be. Try it out, use your ears, and go with what works for you. What sounds good for me is not necessarily going to sound good for you. That's one of the beautiful things about mixing. Just realised we haven't taken any evidence of what we are doing, so let's do that. Let's put a new title track in. Or title slide, I should say. So let's duplicate this. It is easy to forget. New section title. Did I take a screenshot? No, I didn't. Or if I did, it didn't appear. I'm sure I took something. No, maybe not. Okay, so we did some vocal work first, didn't we? So actually, let's get that off. There we go. Drag that in. Resize. What's this? Screenshot 6 already. I'm now starting to work on the stereo field. I started with the vocals. Vocals are traditionally left at the center of a mix, but we have a double track. I wanted to experiment with the placement of the double track. It's recorded in mono, so I duplicated the double track and placed it, what did I go for in the end? Ah, yeah. Hard right and hard left. I originally tried, what did we go for originally? 2 o'clock, I think. But found that there was a little difference between that and dead center. So I went more extreme. I really like this result on headphones. It gives the whole vocal more clarity. Can't spell clarity. There we go. What did I do next? The drums next. Screenshot. Let's save ourselves a bit of time. Wish it would resize automatically. That'd be really helpful. So there's screenshot 7. I then worked on the drums stereo field placement. I started... What did we do first? It's good, isn't it, when you can't remember the work you did 5 minutes ago? This is a good idea as to why you need to write things down straight away. Oh, yes. I started with the overheads and immediately went for the traditional placement of 3 and 9 o'clock. This made a real difference to the feel of the whole drum track, and I liked the result. Okay, nice and straightforward. But what did we do originally on the toms? I also placed the toms at 3 and 9 originally, but this really affected the overall quality in a bad way, because there is a lot of bleed on the tom tracks, tom mics, and this really affected the whole sound of the kit. As a result, I decided to go much less wide, more like 11 and 1. The rest of the kit I left dead center, and I like this result. Now, as I say again, be individual. Don't do that just because that's what I've done. Be individual. What's next? Ah, yes, the guitars. So if we have a look at our panning display, we have a specific section for rhythm guitar, and it says if the rhythm guitar has been double track, pan the 2 tracks hard left and hard right. Now actually they don't show hard left and hard right, they show 10 and 2, but there we go. Have we got a double track? Yes, we have. Okay, we've got rhythm guitar 1 and rhythm guitar 2, and it was always Sam's intention that these should be panned wide. In fact, when he was recording them, to help himself out with the hearing process, he actually panned them already. I took that out because we weren't supposed to be doing any mixing. But yeah, so that was always the intention. What have I just done? Messed up my panning display. There we go. Okay, so let's put solo on for the rhythm guitars. And we're going to go out. Oh, and it's like the 2 tracks have just, they've opened up. Okay, now you might say, I can't hear any difference. Well, you'll get there with practice, folks. I mean, straight away, to me, that just sounds so much more interesting, so much lighter, not so thick, you know, much better. That's good. Now, it would probably be sensible to leave the lead guitar at the center of the mix, but again, you might not want to. I like that a lot. Okay, and then at the end we've got this this nice little solo section. And you might want to play with that a little bit, so why not? Let's do it. Let's see what happens. New track with duplicate settings. We might find something amazing. So I'm going to go right. We can always take it out. If we don't like it, we can always take it out. So I'm going to duplicate that. Put that in. Again, the zoom tool is not being very helpful here. Oh, need it to snap and it's not doing so. What you don't want is them out of sync. What is going on? This should be snapping in. There we go. That's better. I don't know. Let's go. Let's try it. Let's go crazy. Hard right and hard left. You know what? I think I like that. I think I like that, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. So what have we done? We've done some work. Screenshot it. Screenshot 8. Color coding really helps with this as well. One of the reasons why we did it earlier. Next up is the guitar tracks. The rhythm guitar was recorded as a double track. And the guitarist always intended for the tracks to be panned. I went with, what did I go for in the end? 10 and 2. And the mix instantly improved in terms of clarity. I left the main solo part at the center and decided that it would be nice to experiment with the end solo section. So duplicated that as it was mono, and then panned it hard left and hard right. I really like this result. I feel it gives a lot of space to the mix and makes parts stand out more without being louder. Ta-da! Okay, so bass is staying right at the center, as it traditionally would do. And the synth, where have they got synth? On the display, the piano is the closest thing that we've got. So they suggest quite wide, 8 and 4. Let's try it. Okay, now it's not a piano, it's a synth. Whoops. There we go. Love that sound. 46.
There's nothing here, but that's okay. Outside your room, your sister's spinning.
Yeah, I haven't got enough drums in this mix at this stage. We're going to need to fix that later, but that's a side concern. I don't know on the synth.
Listen close and don't be.
I think because it's playing pretty much what the vocalist does, and slightly, I don't want to say, well, no, I don't know whether to say out of time deliberately or accidentally, but it's not bang with the vocalist. So I think that what we've done there might be a little too extreme. So let's come back in a little bit. Let's go 20 and 20.
I'll be here in the morning. 'Cause 'cause I'm just floating.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Your cigarette still burns. Your messed up world will through me. Allison, I'm lost. Allison, outside is sinking. There's nothing here, but that's okay.
That's interesting. What's happened to our level there? I'm sure we changed that. We did.
Allison, outside.
Interesting. Obviously didn't save. Don't ever remember closing it, but it could have been an undo stroke or anything like that. Always worth checking as you're going through. Thought it was a bit loud. There we go. Yeah, I think that works quite nicely. So let's put that in next. Here we go. Screenshot. Duplicate. Take that out. Put that in. Screenshot 9. I tried to put the synth very wide in the mix, but I found this quite distracting because it is doubling and not always perfectly in time the vocal line. As a result, I brought synth back closer. Can't spell. Where did I go? Again, it's about 10 and 2, isn't it? Listening to the mix together. I'm happy with the stereo placement at this stage, although there is still scope to alter things. As we add more processing later. Let's have a listen. Interesting. I like the drums in the verse.
Listen close and don't be stoned.
Interesting how the drums are disappearing
In the morning,
and the vocals come in and the synth.
'cause I'm just floating. Your cigarette still burns. Your messed up world will through me. Allison, I'm lost. Allison, outside is sinking. There's nothing
Got plenty of kick.
here, but that's okay.
Not much snare.
Outside your room, your sister's spinning.
Yeah, good opportunity to do some automation there. But anyway, we're not really concentrating on levels at this stage. We're concentrating on stereo field, and I like that. I think that has enhanced the mix, which is the whole purpose. There's no point in doing anything if it doesn't enhance the mix. So yeah, that's it for stereo field and this episode, which is episode 3. I shall see you for the next episode, which is, filtering and gating is coming up next. See you then.